Welcome to the SBR NHL Ice Guys. It's Tuesday, January the 9th. I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review, and I'm back in the host chair after one hell of a weekend in Vancouver and after one hell of a national championship college football game last night between Alabama and Georgia that kept me up longer than I wanted, coming off a big, long flight home. But what are you going to do? I knew that was going to happen. I'd be waiting to the wee hours of the morning to go to sleep. Sure enough, I was. But we're back. We're ready to go. We're fired up. Got the energy, and we're ready to break down this Tuesday card here on the NHL Ice Guys, joined by Alex B. Smith, Dana Lane, and Andrew McGinnis. We're all here today. We're all accounted for. We're all present. Perfect attendance today on the program. We're happy about that. We're excited about that. We're ready to talk this Tuesday card. So let's get right to it. We've got the first game on the rotation today, 51-52, Winnipeg Jets, Buffalo Sabres. Winnipeg about minus 160, minus 165 road chalk in this game. The total sitting at 5.5, shaded a little bit to the over, minus 115 in this hockey game. And when you look at it from a Buffalo Sabres perspective, where's the defense? Where's the goaltending? It remains the same problem for the Buffalo Sabres. Last 4 games, all of them losses. This team is just, they can't string wins together. They win a game, they lose a bunch more. Win another game, lose a bunch more. That has been the pattern here for Buffalo this season. Last 4 losses, they give up 3 to the Rangers on that Winter Classic afternoon game outdoors. Then they follow that up with 3 straight road losses, Mini, Winnipeg, and Philadelphia, 6-2, 4-3, 4-1. Can't keep the puck out of their own net. That's a big time problem. And now they got to face this Winnipeg team that they actually put up a good fight against, 4-3 on the road, losing to Winnipeg just a few days ago. But still, the end result is another loss for the Sabres team. And again, Chad Johnson, Robin Lehner, you need to see one of those two guys probably step it up a little bit in goal. That hasn't happened. The Winnipeg Jets, continue to be, for the most part, playing pretty solid hockey, especially on home ice. We've talked about how great they've been at home. No question. 16-3-1 home record for Winnipeg. They've been a little bit, this is where Winnipeg's got to put the foot down and say, hey, if we're going to contend in this Western Conference, it's time to play better, more consistent hockey on the road. It has to be done because their road record is still nothing to write home about, 9-14 on the season, but that might not come into play here when we're talking about this lowly, miserable Buffalo Sabres team here tonight. So again, I'm not in any rush any night right now to back the Buffalo Sabres. If anything, the over looks a little interesting here. 4-1-1 is the over in the last 6 meetings between the Jets and Sabres. They played a 4-3 game just 4 days ago, January the 5th. I think we see goals. I think we see Winnipeg goals, that's for sure. Buffalo having trouble defensively right now. So I think over 5.5 is a bet I'll be looking to make in this game, Jets and Sabres tonight. What's Alex B. Smith making bet-wise on this game? Because he's talking about Jets Sabres, one of his games on the card tonight. Alex B. Smith, good morning. What are you looking at here in Buffalo tonight? Uh-oh. Mike on.
There we go. All right. Sorry.
All right.
Got that up and down with this thing. So yeah, good morning, guys. But yeah, I'm looking at Winnipeg with the puck line here. Like I said, not only is it going to be a lot of goals, but mostly going to be goals from the Jets in this game. They have the better offense. You got like I said, Chad Johnson's going to be starting in net because Robin Lehner's out with a lower bode injury. Chad Johnson hasn't won a start since October 15th. He is 1-7-3 on the year, so that's not going to be a bode well for the confidence of this defense or goaltending, as you mentioned. That's been really shoddy from the Sabres for the majority of this year. Like I said, Winnipeg, they've won 5 of the last 6. We know all the offensive talent that they have right now. So the only thing that I would look at here, like I said, over would be a solid play as well. But I think Winnipeg takes care of business, should be able to get about 4 or 5 goals. Talking about a Buffalo team that has allowed 3 or more goals in 9 of the last 10 games. So Jets with a decent price on the puck line. That's something I'm looking at tonight.
Yeah, that is a concern. Adam Lastman saying Sabres don't score. Yeah, they don't. Their offense has been a disappointment. I was thinking that was going to carry this team. That was going to be the strength of this team. If they were going to win and compete and do their best, they would at least be able. You'd be able to rely on them offensively, and you just haven't been able to consistently. So that is a small concern to me over the total here in this game. But I'm still probably going to look at it. A Winnipeg team total, if you have access to team totals in the NHL, a Winnipeg Jets team total makes a lot of sense to me tonight here in this game between the Jets and Sabres tonight. So something to look at here in this one. So that's definitely something to keep in mind here for that game tonight. Andrew, did you have anything on that Jets Sabres game? What were your games? Shoot them over here quickly.
Oh, sorry, Ian. Yeah, I thought I sent you a quick tweet beforehand. My fault. It was a little bit delayed, but yeah, I do like the over in this game, and like you said, Ian, in my eyes, I think it's plain and simple. It's one of those games, and it's one of those teams right now for Buffalo where they're an over team, but they're not the ones that's really doing the scoring. They're just making it so easy to get scored on. Like you said, last couple of games here, 4-3 win over New Jersey, 3-2 loss in New York, 6-2 loss in Minnesota, 4-3 loss in Winnipeg, and a 4-1 loss to Philly. So they seem like a team right now that's just so comfortable getting stomped all over right now, Ian. So for me right now, when I look at this Buffalo team, I know they can put up goals every now and then, but they seem so comfortable getting walked all over. And now with Leonard not being in nets, I think that's just an even worse thing for them right now. And the stats just are in favor of this over versus Winnipeg. Total has gone over in 4 of Winnipeg's last 6 games when playing in Buffalo on the road. So for me right now, I think this Winnipeg team is kind of starting to get their shit together. They had a little slump kind of going for a couple weeks, and now all of a sudden they're back again. And for me right now, Buffalo hasn't been able to develop any kind of consistency whatsoever. So I do agree with Alex's puck line, but I also do think that this over will skyrocket over as well. Um, and yeah, so Ian, just for those messages I sent you, it was Jet Sabres, Hawks, Sens, and Preds Oilers.
There you go. All right, excellent. Yeah, Joel, I don't know why you're not hearing us. What do you got? Some Windows 95, Windows 3.1 computer rocking? Come on now, let's go. It's 2018. It's I don't know what the issue is, but should be able to hear us, should be able to see us. Looks like the audio and video is working fine right now. So yeah, refresh the browser, maybe restart the computer, do shit, just generic shit like that. You should be able to get us going here with the video. Should work out okay. So Andrew also on the over 5.5 here in this game. We've got Vancouver and Washington 53-54. Washington, as you would expect. I mean, playing pretty good hockey, especially at home. Facing Vancouver, nothing to write home about. Minus 230, 5.5 shaded to the under in this game. Vancouver's giving you an honest effort. They're in pretty much every game. You can't fault them for that, but getting over the hump has been a difficult thing. I know I was in Vancouver this weekend. A bunch of the people I met are Canucks fans. They're sort of frustrated because they know this team's, right now they're in that no man's land. They're not in that worst, dead last in the league or anything where they're going to get a real high pick, but they're not really true playoff contenders either right now. So they're in that no man's land, that dead zone, as I like to say, if you're a fan of a hockey team. So Vancouver's got to figure out what they're doing. Are they going to actually try to make a run at the playoffs, or are they going to sell? I think they have to sell off. I don't think there is a playoffs to be made for this team, and there already are discussions, rumors heating up about Eric Goodbranson, for instance, on the trade deck for the Vancouver Canucks going into the deadline, a veteran defenseman that a playoff team may covet, maybe looking at adding to their roster when the playoffs begin. So again, Vancouver has to basically figure out what they're doing. Right now, what they're doing is not winning a lot of hockey games. That's what they're doing right now. 1-8. Their last 9, and the offense, it went through a little spurt there where they were putting up goals in bunches. That's sort of come back to the pack a little bit. Really, it's Brock Besser and not a whole lot. We had a little surge there for Tom Vanek for a while, but as we see with Thomas Vanek, he'll have a nice little 3-game stretch, and then you can't find him with a telescope for the next 80 games. That's basically his career in a nutshell. But the Vancouver Canucks, again, defensively, they've been a problem area as well. They've given up 4 goals or more 3 of their last 4 games. Not very good. Not playing great defensively, which is really a shame because this team. It's a shame for Vancouver because they get Chris Tanev back, supposed to help them. Then he gets injured again. Now he's questionable for tonight's game after sitting out last one. So they finally get Tanev back, one of their more stalwarts back there, and then he gets hurt again. So that's a problem. It's honestly been an over series, believe it or not. These two teams, 5-2-1 to the over the last 8 meetings overall. Vancouver, like a lot of teams playing this Washington team, having a real tough time beating them. Especially here in Washington. Capitals with a tremendous home record, 17-5, and there are a bunch of teams with good home records. Vancouver's another one going into this game with a very strong home record. So tough game for me to get involved with in the end. I know from a Washington perspective here in this game, they're playing, as I said, great hockey, 4 straight wins. They beat Boston, Jersey, Carolina, St. Louis, so pretty good victories in that mix as well. 3 of them having to go extra time, though. I mean, 3 of those last 4 wins either in overtime or a shootout, but they're getting the job done. They've also trended over the total. This is an offense that's thriving right now. 4 goals or more in those 4 straight games, all of them Washington Capital victories. So it's a team that offensively right now rolling in very good form. Really a bunch of guys that have helped contribute here for this Washington team and are being able to put the puck in the net. 3 straight multi-point games for Nick Backstrom certainly helps. We know Ovechkin's been pretty solid, consistent all season long. Evgeny Kuznetsov, continues to chip in offensively as well. The big guys for Washington basically are contributing right now, and you put that with a team that should have decent goaltending, should be solid, and you have a situation where the team should have no problem being able to win games in this situation. I'm trying to throw it to Dana Lane. This is one of his games here, Vancouver and Washington. He wants to talk about it. He's got a bet on this game. Dana, can you hear me? I don't see you, but can you hear me? No, he cannot. So I don't know what happened to Dana. He just dropped out.
He said on the chat that he couldn't figure out what was going on. So,
all right. Well, we'll hope to get Dana back here. There he is. He's back just in the nick of time because the floor is his for the Canucks and Capitals. How about that for time? And he's back. Go ahead, Dana. What's your look into this Washington game tonight?
Well, thank you for bringing me back into the fold, guys. I appreciate it. I feel like you were talking about me before when I was gone, but now I'm back, and I hope you guys got it out of your system. Vancouver, Washington tonight. This is a night that I'm pretty happy about because, as you know, I love to bet unders, and I have a slew of them tonight that I think I might take a chance on, including this game with the Canucks and the Capitals. And I know, look, you look at recent trends in this series, and I know that this every trend points to the over. But if you really look at the Washington Capitals, when they play, especially the Western Conference, they play tight, low-scoring games, and I don't know, I don't know what the rhyme or reason is. Perhaps when teams from the Pacific Division go to Washington, they're just not that interested, or when they go out west, that takes a toll on the west, on the East Coast teams, and in the traveling. So, I just kind of feel like Washington always plays down to the level of their competition. They don't play with the same offensive flair that they do against the rest of the league. We recently saw this against Vegas, where they came out to Vegas and basically laid an egg. I mean, Vegas got ahead in the game early 3-0, and basically just cut the air off to the brain after that. There was nothing that Washington can do, and they looked basically disinterested and basically just wanted to get on to their next game. The last couple weeks, I think Washington has taken a small step backwards offensively. They're not getting a ton of production from their blue line, except probably for John Carlson, which he's been absolutely on fire. But that's not the way the Capitals usually play. Usually their blue liners collect a lot of assists because their game is to get the puck to the front of the net and get rebounds, or maybe the puck finds its way in. That's kind of Washington Capitals hockey. That's how they've been winning the last couple of years. And we do know that they'll face a Canucks team tonight that is bad offensively. So in order for this game to push over the total, the Capitals will have to do it by themselves, and I don't have a lot of confidence that they're going to be able to do that. I think they sleepwalk through this game, considering they'll have 8 straight games against Eastern Conference opponents after this game. I just think they're not on their top offensive game tonight, and they play down to the level of their competition. So you can find us $1.10 at Pinnacle right now, which is a great price. That line seems to be coming down a bit. Again, shop, because there's some that are better and some that are worse, obviously. But I do like this game to go under the total tonight.
All right, under 5.5 for Dana, and he's going with the psychological element for this play, because you're right. Washington's put up 4 or 5 goals in 4 straight games. And they've done it against good teams. I mean, good defensive teams. St. Louis, Boston in there, Carolina in there. Good defensive teams that they've scored these goals on. But as he says, he's not expecting them to be fully mentally geared in and checked into this game. So if that's the case, and you're right, sometimes you're sluggish, your passes aren't sharp. That's what happens when a team's not focused in a game and not ready to go. Passes aren't clicking, their steps slow, and that kind of thing. There's not that crispness in the offensive zone. There's, pucks bounce off sticks, that kind of thing. You fan on a shot, you're wide, you're off your shooting eye isn't where it should be. All those little things can add up I notice when a team is flat. And when I look for that flat, tired effort kind of thing, that's usually what I look for. So usually that does lead to unders, actually, when you're not focused in a game. We'll see what happens here, but good points made. Dana on the under with the Caps and Canucks. Chicago, Ottawa, 55-56 next up. Chicago, but that's actually bouncing around. It's even money on both sides. There's some Chicago's, close to -110, mostly Ottawa. -110 right now across the board. So near even money in this game. The total 5.5 shaded to the over here. Blackhawks, 20, 15, and 5. So if you tally up the regulation plus overtime / shootout losses, they're 20 and 20 this season. That's right about where Chicago should be. It's a up and down team. A good game here, a couple shit games there. A couple, and then in the reverse order, you could have a couple good games and then a bad game all of a sudden hits this Blackhawks team. That's been their season so far. I think they've got some guys that are capable players for this team in the future. I think DeBrincat is really showing some promise here for the Blackhawks. Just you need more consistency more than anything else, but at least one of their younger guys has stepped up at least a little bit recently for this Chicago team, which is good to see. And all of a sudden, on the other side, we've got this Ottawa Senators team starting to make a little noise and playing better finally. We know this team's got a hell of a journey ahead of them if they're going to get back in the playoff chase, but they're not giving up. They've had 2 nice home wins in a row against pretty solid competition. Comeback win against San Jose. I was shocked by that. I didn't see much of that game, but I was seeing the scores at the restaurant there in Vancouver, the bar there, and I saw some, what? Ottawa came back and won that game 6-5. Unbelievable with their offense, but they did. And they showed their offense all of a sudden. 6 goals against Tampa? Really? They did that? Yes, they did. And they beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 6-3 in impressive fashion last game out. Did get outshot, but hey, he still put up 6 goals on Tampa Bay. I believe it was Vasilevsky in net too that day for Tampa Bay. That's saying something. That's a good performance from Ottawa. Can they keep it going? All of a sudden, they're finding some mojo. I'd certainly lean to the momentum that Ottawa's got right now. Lean to the Senators' side in this game. We'll see if they're able to keep it going. We've got Alex and Andrew both involved too in this Blackhawks Senators game. So let's go to Alex, the resident Hawks fan. What's he expect from his team tonight?
It's just an interesting spot because it's you see where the Hawks had been on that long road trip. They come back home, play a couple of good home games. They had that game against Vegas where they looked dead in the water. They should have been down 4-0 in the first period of that game. Vegas absolutely swarmed them. It was way too fast, but they somehow came back. They ended up losing 5-4, but that was a valiant effort for them. Probably one of the better efforts I've seen from them in the last month or so. Even some of the wins that they've had, they've played like dog shit for the most part and struggled against some really bad teams. But then you look at Sunday, they catch Edmonton off the second night of a back-to-back, a very odd 2:00 start time. And they get the 4-1 win. It was a good start. Forsberg looked really good in net, which is something we hadn't seen from him most of his starts either. So now they go on to take an Ottawa team that, like I said, 2 good wins. Sadly, I was on San Jose in that comeback spot, and they were down 5-2 late in the third. Made a incredible comeback, 7 seconds in overtime to win that thing, and then of course beating the best team in the league in Tampa 6-3. But they paid for it dearly. You look at their injury list; 3 guys left that game with injuries. And I had to refresh it because I'm looking at all these names. You got Cody Ceci, Derek Brassard, Johnny Oduya, Nate Thompson, Dion Phaneuf, and Matt Duchene. Now he possibly has the flu, so that's a lot of guys to miss out for a game here. And you got, of course, a lot of teams getting ready for this big break. I think Chicago might be the spot to look at here. We got Jeff Glass, more than likely going in net. He's been a fantastic story. 32-year-old guy coming up as a rookie and playing pretty good. And so I'm thinking this could be a game. Chicago knows they can't take anybody lightly. If they're going to try and make some sort of decent playoff run, which I don't think is going to happen, but they still can do it. This is a game they got to win tonight. So I'm looking at Chicago at a decent pick 'em price tonight.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question when you look at it. Johnny Oduya, lower body injury. Phaneuf, knee injury. There's a bunch of questionables. You're going to want to make sure you're on top of this if you're going to get involved in this game, side or total, but especially from a side perspective, particularly the Ottawa side, because, Brassard, Duchene, Nate Thompson, all guys that are, questionable for this game tonight. Borowiecki on the blue line as well for Ottawa. So there's just a bunch of guys that are questionable for this game. So you want to keep that in mind before and find out what the injuries are. We've got Dana Lane in the chat throwing a fit that he can't swear. That's the price you pay, buddy, for getting married and having a wife and kids. You can't swear. Not allowed. Sorry. That's the way it goes.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to. Don't worry. I'm taking a poll. See what every one of you has had a swear word this morning, so I'm getting ready.
He's warming up. He's just waiting for the right moment to just crush us over the head and pound our head into the wall with a big swear session. All right, here we go. And oh no, Andrew's also involved in Chicago, Ottawa. My bad, Andrew. What are you looking at here in this game tonight in Canada's capital city?
Yeah, well, Ottawa, I'll tell you guys, Ottawa's been a team that's really been pissing me off these days. I don't really know what to think of them. I don't really know how to read them, and they're one of those teams right now where I think when you handicap a whole NHL season and you look at a schedule, you look at a team's season so far, you don't really want to look at their entire season because right now Ottawa's averaging 2.78 goals in the entire season. But recently they've been kind of known as that team that's very easy to score on, but they've also been able to put out some goals themselves in their last two games. 6-5 win over San Jose and a 6-3 win over Tampa Bay. So I have to say that's sort of impressive, and I'm not going to really overthink that, but the facts are there. Chicago also has been scoring, and they've actually looked pretty good themselves. So they had a 4-1 win versus Edmonton, 5-4 loss in Vegas, and a 5-2 win versus New York Rangers. So to me, they're kind of gathering their stuff right now. The chemistry seems to be there on all their lines. I'm looking for the over in this game, guys. I'm not touching anything against the Ottawa Senators right now. I would have a lean against Chicago, but I'd have no idea what we're going to see from Ottawa tonight. Like you guys said, we're kind of a questionable lineup right now. The total has gone over in 4 of Chicago's last 5 games on the road, but more importantly, total has gone over in 6 of Chicago's last 9 games when playing on the road in Ottawa. So for me, guys, this should be a really exciting game. I'm looking forward to watching this one, and I hope to see a lot of goals.
Yeah, and by the way, if you're a daily fantasy hockey player, one guy you might want to consider tonight for Chicago's Nick Schmaltz. Boy, well, you talk about a guy right now that's feeling it. What has he got? 8 points now in his last 6 games. Fantastic. Again, if you're into those fantasy stuff, you're not going to pay the price for him in your lineup that you would for other guys. So you're probably going to get value on him because he's not a household name. But boy, when you get guys that are in good form offensively like he is right now, there you go. Those are perfect. But he's one of the guys that's red hot right now for this Chicago team. And they, I don't know, how many chances is Thomas Yurko going to get for a hockey team? Apparently, as Chicago's called him back up, they've sent John Hayden down to the AHL. Thomas Yurko couldn't, stick with Detroit for crying out loud, and he's not exactly lighting it up right now, the minors either. So we'll see if he can make the most of another opportunity to make in the NHL. But my guess is he probably won't. I've not been impressed with what he's done. He's had some potential, some flash here and there, but hasn't worked out for this team so far. But interesting game to watch. I mean, and again, if you're going to get involved with Ottawa, make sure you're checking that situation with. There's so many players that are questionable either due to injury or the flu bug that's rampant through that Senator dressing room right now. So you want to be on top of that if you're going to get involved in that game. Carolina, Tampa Bay, the next game, 57-58. Good divisional battle here. 2 good teams. Carolina, again, I think one of the more underrated, not talked about teams because, their record's not fantastic, but I see this team pretty much in every game, every night. That's been the mantra for Carolina, but they're a big dog to Tampa tonight, -200 to -210, home favorite, the total 5.5 in this game, shaded to the over. So the Tampa Bay Lightning returning home for this game against Carolina, and a situation where Tampa Bay suddenly, all of a sudden, going to be looking to right the ship just a little bit. Lost to Montreal, lost to Ottawa to end that Eastern Canadian road trip. So it's a situation where this could be as good as things have been for Carolina at times, as competitive as they've been throughout the course of the season. This could be facing the Tampa Bay team at a bit of a wrong time. They did bounce back, beat Detroit 5-2, which was good to see. But, couple losses there, got Tampa Bay right back on the beam again, got them refocused. That could be an issue returning home. Now, they did have a good long road trip, 5 road games in a row for Tampa Bay. Maybe a little concern with that first game home back off that trip. But, Tampa Bay at home's just been so good. I mean, what is it? Another team that's just been killing it on home ice. Tampa Bay 16-4 at home this season. Just fantastic record. We'll see if Carolina can pull a massive upset here, but Carolina's going to have to play a hell of a lot better than they did their last game on Sunday or Saturday against the Boston Bruins. 7-1 loss, non-competitive, just one of those bad games, bad nights for the Carolina Hurricanes. Every team has a clunker. That was their clunker. They're going to be up to bounce back against a best team points wise in the NHL right now. I think you're going to get a good effort from Carolina, but not making a lot of money going against Tampa Bay at home. So it's a game I'm probably going to stay out of tonight. Dana's not staying out of this game. He's involved with the Canes and the Lightning down in T-Bay tonight. Dana, what are you looking at betting here in this game tonight?
Okay, here's my swear word. There's a lot of money coming in on the over in this game. I think that is horse feathers. That's what I do. Carolina, Tampa. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, everybody, for smiling and patronizing me. Thank you. Well, it's bullshit if you're betting the other way. Anyway.
There we go. That's better.
There we go. Yeah, I know. I feel so dirty. I feel dirty now. I feel like I want to dim the lights a little bit. Hey, look, guys, if you look at the Carolina Hurricanes, you look at their history, they usually follow up a bad defensive effort with a solid defensive effort, and certainly that trend has continued this season as well. They gave up 5 goals to the Washington Capitals and then came right back and shut out the Pittsburgh Penguins. Before Christmas, they allowed 8 goals to the Toronto Maple Leafs, came right back and shut down the Nashville Predators. All 9 times that the Hurricanes have given up at least 5 goals this season. Every time except once have they not come back with a solid defensive effort. I think Carolina holds Tampa Bay down offensively, while of course, Tampa Bay, we talk so much about how good they are offensively and not enough about how good they are defensively. The second in the league in goals allowed. So I think that defensive effort for Carolina is going to show through tonight, and Tampa Bay is just going to do what they do. Just a side note, it does look like Sebastian Aho is going to be a game-time decision. He did skate yesterday. He'll skate today as well. He'll be a game-time decision after that skate. But you're only having to give up minus $1.01. That number keeps on coming down, so you might want to wait a little bit. Maybe you'll get a plus price or even money with it if you want to get that. But money continues to come in on the over, but I certainly like the under at minus $1.01 at Pinnacle 5.5.
All right, 5.5 under the total for Dana, Carolina, Tampa Bay. And you mentioned the Sebastian Aho injury, and it's big, of course. You're talking about a guy sharing the team lead in points and goals. I mean, obviously, he's a big deal offensively, no question. So Saturday's game, he got injured against Boston. So again, you want to make sure he's in or out if you're going to get involved in the Carolina side specifically. But yeah, I mean, he's one of the guys this team, certainly from an offensive perspective, that is counted on, has had a really good season. I mean, this is a guy that ripped up the World Juniors for Finland years ago. I remember that. He was a great World Junior player for Finland, and he's carried that over here and had a great season. 33 points, tied with Teuvo Teravainen for the team lead in points this season. Skinner has had a good season for them as well, 28 points for the Carolina Hurricanes. The guy that's kind of disappointed, had been a little bit really disappointed actually is Victor Rask. I mean, he's sitting there at 13 points in 39 games this season. This is a guy that they're hoping for to be one of their stalwart center icemen for years and years to come, and just hasn't had that offensive spark you would expect him to, hasn't had that production that you would expect. So we'll see if Victor Rask, a guy that Carolina has a lot of belief in potential for, can get things rolling a bit, because it's probably not been the season he was hoping for offensively, but interesting to see if Aho plays tonight for the Carolina Hurricanes, because that's definitely a big deal for their cause tonight against a tough opponent like the Lightning. Florida, St. Louis, 59-60 on the rotation. We've got St. Louis, a $1.60 home chalk in this game. The total 5.5, shaded to the under. Yeah, I don't have much on this game. I don't like Florida on the road. We're starting to see it. This team, not great exactly to trust away from home. St. Louis, playing better. I mean, not many teams can say they're beating the Vegas Golden Knights these days, and St. Louis was able to do it. It was not a pretty win for them by any stretch last week, but they still beat the Golden Knights 2-1. Again, defensively is where this team's going to have to hang their hat. It's not been easy to come by to get goals lately for the St. Louis Blues, but the Florida, again, they piled up that little win streak that they had at home against some cupcake opponents. It's been a lot tougher sledding for the Florida Panthers now going on the road. So, but you're not going to see me laying at minus 160 though with St. Louis at the same point in time. So it's an easy game to say adios to and move on to the next one. And Florida St. Louis, though, Dana does have something on that game, so let's get him in on this Panthers Blues game tonight in St. Louis. Dana, what are you looking at here in this one tonight?
Well, this has always been an under series, guys, and it's dated back years for sure, but certainly something that you have to look at. The under in this series is 17-7-1, and their last 25 meetings, including 7-2-1 in St. Louis over their last 10 meetings. And if you remember, the last time that these two teams met in October, it was an under game with Florida grabbing that 5-2 victory. But there was a scoreless first period. It required 77 shots to get even to the 7-goal mark in that game, and it was at 5 with about 5 minutes left in that game. So, I mean, they were, obviously when you get down to in a close game and you're at 5 with about 5 minutes to go and the total's 5.5, you're not feeling great about that. But with that being said, they were 5 minutes away from that game going under. 3 of the goals came in that game during special teams play, including a shorthanded goal by Trocheck. A ton of shots for sure, but it could have easily gone over under the total. Remember too that each team had 7 penalties in that game as well. I don't foresee that. I don't think you can go into any NHL game with a wagering intent and think that there's going to be 14 total penalties in the game. I think that that's obviously abnormal. A lot of abnormal things had to happen in game 1 for that to get the 7. This is also the final game of a road trip for the Florida Panthers, so it might be just a look ahead spot for them, which could hurt them offensively as well. And we don't have to improperly emphasize the Panthers offensively or with the extra attacker, because they're not very good. And I'll say that again, when we're betting overs or unders, you want to make sure that if you're betting over, that you have the special teams on your side. When you're betting under, you want to make sure that you don't have the special teams on your side, because 2 or 3 special teams goals can push that over, even though that your handicapping is absolutely accurate. So we don't have to put too much emphasis on the Panthers offensively on the power play, because they're not very good, and that bodes well for us either. It's either the Blues carry this total over, or it easily stays under and we cash the ticket. So we're going to bet under 5.5 minus $1.20 between Florida and St. Louis.
All right, there you go. Another under. It's keep digging for Dana Lane tonight on the NHL Ice, guys. We're digging under. We're digging. Hopefully, we're not digging our grave. We're digging up profits here. Yeah.
I told you I like that. I like the unders. Like unders tonight. And keep in mind too, guys. There's it's kind of that time of year, whether they're going on the extended break, or it's kind of that lull in the year. We're halfway through, strangely enough, and teams start to either looking forward to that break, and so they kind of are trying to slide through to that point, and that really hurts them offensively. I think even the other night, watching the Vegas game against the Rangers, it was very methodical at times, and that's really not the game that Vegas plays. But that was the game before they go on their extended break, and it was a very methodical game.
Yeah, exactly. That's something you're going to want to note at. How are these teams playing? How's their win-loss record going into the break and coming out of the break? That's something you want to look at, including last year. Last year they started doing this as well. Take that into account. Log how teams are doing this year, totals-wise, win-loss-wise, going in and coming out of the break. If you can start to formulate a little bit of a pattern with these teams last year and this year, especially if they got the same coaching staff and largely the same personnel, that's something you could use. That's just information at your disposal next year when they do this again and the years following that for the bye week, if you start to see these little trends develop in terms of performance on the ice. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Yeah, as I mentioned, look, Florida's done nothing on this road trip. They finally faced some better teams, Minnesota, Detroit, Columbus. They lose all of them. So, again, not a team I'm trusting here in this spot against St. Louis here. And St. Louis, believe it or not, off 2 straight losses to Philly and Washington back home and giving up goals. So a good spot for them maybe defensively to focus in a little bit. No goalies confirmed yet. I think James Reimer will probably get it at the start again. Someone said he looks a lot like Doogie Howser, MD, James Reimer. I don't know about that. Someone was saying that to me. Neil Patrick Harris, the show way back in the day, but maybe a little resemblance there. But nevertheless, unders 5.5, Florida St. Louis there for Dana Lane in that game. Edmonton Nashville 61-62, Nashville minus 165, total 5.5 across the board. What's to say about Edmonton? I mean, you start to get their hopes up. A few wins get strung together by this team, and now they've just hit the complete bricks again. Hit the wall. Struggles are back, reignited again for this Edmonton Oilers team. You've got Peter Chiarelli, GM of this team, fending off rumors and speculation and innuendo that he's going to fire Todd McClellan. I mean, it's just disaster. I mean, for a team that was expected, and everybody's saying Western Conference is going to be right there, maybe be the champ, in the Stanley Cup Finals. Now the playoffs are looking like a long shot at best for the Edmonton Oilers right now. Just really a massive disappointment. What's been extremely disappointing to me, guys, is where's the offense been? The consistency offensively, it's not been there. You know, if you shut down McDavid and Draisaitl, which has been teams' MO lately facing this Oilers team, there's nobody else, zero stepping up support-wise right now for the Edmonton Oilers. That's a big-time issue. You look at McDavid, even he is in a scoring slump, in a scoring funk right now from a goal-scoring perspective. So as soon as you shut McDavid down and he has consistent struggles, you've got some problems. They're on a dismal 1-6 slide. Their last 7 games, the only win was a shootout win against the Anaheim Ducks. So there is a lot of problems right now in Oilerland, and now they got to head to Nashville, take on this Predators team that they lost a couple in a row to Vegas, and the Arizona one's the stunning one. They lose in overtime there. Lost to Vegas, is no shame in that, but they bounced back to beat LA 4-3, at least salvage one win on that little 3-game Western road trip. Now they return home, Nashville, for this game. Philip Forsberg, to me, is still going to be a little bit of a concern, missing him for 4 to 6 weeks moving forward. I mean, he's a big part of this team. He's going to have to put more stress, on Kevin Fiala and some other guys to really step up for Nashville in Philip Forsberg's absence offensively. Kyle Turris, though, has been fantastic. We've talked about that since he was traded from the Ottawa Senators. He's just been absolutely everything that Nashville was hoping for, and then some. So, well, let's put it this way. We've got also Nashville, Pekka Rinne. It's 18-6-1, .915 save percentage, lifetime against Edmonton. So, we talk about Rinne. He's had a pretty good season. He's had the odd blip, the odd bad game here and there, but he's been pretty solid, and his numbers against Edmonton are good. You look at Edmonton and the shit show they are now on and off the ice with the speculation going on, and I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to be looking to make a case for Edmonton tonight. Let's put it that way. Andrew's involved in the Edmonton-Nashville game tonight. Andrew, what are you looking at here tonight?
Yeah, Ian, guys, first and foremost, I'm just kind of curious why Dana isn't wearing a Team Canada jersey or a Montreal Canadiens jersey right now. I just thought USA was going to beat Canada in the finals, and they didn't even end up making it there. But anyway, that's
well. I would have their new glasses, but we didn't take the bet, did we? I offered the bet, and you were like, I don't think so, because you would have to wear a Bruins jersey.
I said I have confidence in Canada. Check the tape. Tape.
No, well, the confidence in Canada is different than I'll take the bet.
Well, that's a yes. Yeah. That was a yes for sure. That was a yes.
I didn't hear it. Yeah,
It's a yes today. No, you know what? I'll wear a Team Canada shirt or jersey for sure. I don't have any problems with that.
He'll do it out of respect for me. That's what he would. That's why he would do it.
Completely welcome for employing Canadian hockey players.
Yeah.
Oh, but all that aside, though, guys, looking at this Nashville and Edmonton game, to be quite honest,
let's Edmonton's move on. Water under the bridge. Yeah,
Edmonton's really just been this team that I think, whether anyone wants to admit it or not, they're not too much different of a team than they were last year. But besides just their play style, I mean, they've become very predictable. I don't think this team back checks whatsoever. They don't play a lick of defense. Look at the motivation that they have. Look at the energy this team gets. When all of a sudden when they're in the offensive zone, the second that they lose it, it's gone. But like I said, their biggest problem has never been offense in my eyes. It's always been defensive issues. It's been these defensemen holding onto the puck for way too long. It's been these almost just turnovers in the neutral zone. Just different things like that. And when you're going up against defensive pairings like Yossi and Ellis, Ekholm, Subban, even Emelin and Weber, that's just dangerous for a team that's just not even scoring right now. And like Ian said, when you got McDavid and Draisaitl shut down, who else are you relying on? I mean, Nugent Hopkins for a goal every 6 or 7 games. I mean, I'm not relying on him to kind of save my life. So looking at these two teams, it's just a complete matchup. On the season, Nashville averaging 3.15 goals per game, Edmonton averaging 2.75. But looking at the head-to-head, these two teams, last 10, Nashville is 10-0 in their last 10 against the Edmonton Oilers, while doing that, averaging 3.1 goals. Edmonton just 1.2. So that's kind of a disgrace in my eyes. But if you look at Edmonton's last couple games here, a 4-1 loss to Chicago, a 5-1 loss to Dallas, then a little 2-1 win there. Then a 2-1 win against Anaheim, but then a 5-0 loss to LA and a 5-0 loss to Winnipeg. So they're almost getting used to just getting crushed, guys. They're making a habit out of this. So in my eyes, I don't care if it's minus 160, guys. I'm on Nashville right now. Look, their penalty kill percentage is 92%, so they're taking care of business on that as well. Power play is 20%, not too bad, but nothing too great as well. But I just like Nashville spots night here. I know it's quite a bit of juice to lay, but look, I like this bet a lot, and I'm with Nashville tonight.
All right, Nashville. There you go for Andrew in this game, and I know Edmonton's been searching for some offensive support. It's not even funny. I mean, you see McDavid 47 points, Draisaitl 33, even Nugent Hopkins 30. Although lately it's not been good for him. And then there's this drop off. Then you go down to a couple in the low 20s, and then you've got just a lot of guys below 20 points on this team this season, and it's a big time problem. Ryan Strome, what's happened to this guy? First round pick, a lot of hype going in, and 17 points in 43 games. It's the reason why the Islanders wanted to trade him. Drake Caggiula has been a disappointment to me for this Edmonton Oilers team. Drake Caggiula scored some big goals for them in the playoffs last year. I thought, boy, maybe they got something in this guy. Well, they got not much this year, 9 points in 31 games. And everybody's saying, Edmonton, oh, let's go out, get more offense. What do you do to address that? You get what? Mike Camilleri? Really? I mean, have you not watched him the last couple of years? Oh, but if 8 points in 22 games and a -7 rating floats your boat, all right, great. Fantastic. That's going to help us here. But Mike Camilleri, good. He's had a great career, good NHL career for years, very consistent offensive guy. Has not been that guy for the last 2 years. I think they got him thinking maybe we'll get the Camilleri of 2010. Maybe we'll turn back time a little bit, a la Cher. But that's not happening here for Mike Camilleri and for the Oilers here this season whatsoever. So that move hasn't worked. And as a result, this team's stuck in mud. They're just not good enough defensively night to night to bail themselves out of bad offense or an offense that's not helping out Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And as a result, you've got this tailspin that just doesn't seem to end for this Oilers team. We've got Calgary, Minnesota to wrap up the card, 63-64. Minnesota about a minus. It looks like some Calgary money coming in as we speak. It's down to plus 110 on the Calgary side, down to minus 130 from an opener of minus 140 on the Minnesota side. The total 5.5. Shaded to the under in this game. I do want to point out we do have a Alex Stalock goalie confirmation for Minnesota. He will be in net tonight for the Wild in this game. Another team that, we talk about, we don't love laying minus 160, 70, 80, 90, 200 with Minnesota at home, but this is a more reasonable number, and they do have a good home record, 14-6. Calgary is one of those teams that for me right now, I don't really want much to do with them on or against because, I've had a hard time figuring out this team this season. I think they've had a hard time figuring out themselves as well. I think Glenn Gullitson's had a hard time figuring them out as well because, he snapped at them in practice a few days ago. They've been up and down. They did have a nice win, last-minute goal for Dougie Hamilton to beat Anaheim the other night. Very good win for Calgary. But again, stringing good performances together has not always been Calgary's MO this season. We'll see if they can do it here tonight in Minnesota when they take on the Wild. Of course, we've got Alex involved in this game, always willing participant in talking Minnesota Wild hockey. Alex, go for it. What are you looking at here?
Yeah, I said it on the show last couple episodes. I'm not going against this Wild team at home right now. They're absolutely red hot down the street at the Xcel Energy Center. Won 9 of the last 10 games, and they're taking on a Calgary team that's lost 4 of the last 6 on the road. Yeah, the 3 wins they have: Chicago, LA, Anaheim. Decent squads, but they beat them at home. This is not a good road team, and they're playing a really hot Wild team. You got Eric Stahl's been absolutely magnificent. 7 goals, 2 assists in his last 10 games. Like I said, Alex Stalock, he is getting the start in net, and we know he struggled a little bit toward the end of that. He was taking over for when Devin Dubnyk was hurt. But he's played 82 career games. He's had 8 starts against Calgary, more starts than any other team that he's faced in his brief career. He's gone 3-2-2 in those 8 starts. So clearly, they feel he has a good read on that Calgary Flames team. But like I said, this is now this price is going down to, like I said, minus 130. Definitely jumping in here with the Wild.
All right, Minnesota. Can't argue with that. That would certainly be my lean in this game. Minnesota. In this game, there is concern about Mikko Koivu's status, dealing with a little bit of an illness, but questionable for this game. That's really it, though, from a Minnesota perspective in terms of injuries. That's not the case for Calgary. They've got a couple guys out. They've been without Versteeg for a while. They've been without Michael Frolik for the early part of this year. Jaromir Jagr, groin injury. That's unfortunate for him, but, we're talking about a guy that's now, closing in on 50 in a few years here. So, we're talking about a situation where it's not going to be easy for Jagr, for as good a career as he's had, to stay on the ice and stay healthy indefinitely. And that's certainly been an issue for him. The injury bugs kind of hurt him a little bit. 4 straight wins, as I mentioned, for Minnesota at home. Buffalo and Florida, nothing to write home about, but they also beat Nashville and Dallas at home, 2 very, very good teams. So this team's playing good hockey, no question. They didn't play good Saturday night, 7-2 at Colorado, just one of those bad nights. Like we said, with Carolina at Boston. Clunker. Every team, good. Doesn't matter how good you are or how bad you are, you're going to have a clunker. You're going to have a stinker. You're going to just get ripped and blown out one night or a couple nights during a long 82-game season. That was one of those games for the Minnesota Wild against Colorado last time out. Good bounce-back spot. You look at them off a loss. They've won last 2 now off a defeat, so you're probably going to get a step-up, better effort back home tonight for this Minnesota team. And again, Calgary's tough to predict. One game they look good, one game not so much. So Alex on Minnesota there in that game tonight. All right, that brings us now to the end of the show, which means it is best bets time. For this Tuesday, January the 9th card. We'll go around the horn, bottom right, and around the wheel. Let's start with Andrew McGinnis. Best bet for you on this Tuesday night card.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go back to Blackhawks versus Senators. I mean, the stats are there for me. The trends are there, but the way these two teams are playing in their past couple games just tell me that the over is the play. Once again, the over is hitting 4 of Chicago's last 5 games on the road. More importantly, 6 of their last 9 when playing in Ottawa. So for me, Chicago's looking really good right now. They're being able to put up some numbers, and surprisingly, Ottawa has been either putting up some goals themselves or just getting stomped all over. So let's hope to see that again, and we're going with the over in Ottawa versus Chicago.
All right, over 5.5, Chicago, Ottawa, best bet for Andrew. Dana, best bet for you tonight.
Yeah, guys, there's no confirmed goaltender yet for the St. Louis Blues, but that doesn't really matter to me because obviously if it's Carter Hutton in net, he's played fantastic and started 4 of the last 5 games. And if it's Jake Allen, I think we'll see a Jake Allen who really has to put in a solid effort, or he might actually lose his starting job if he hasn't already to Carter Hutton. So either way, I think you're getting good goaltending out of the St. Louis Blues, and of course, we can't rely on the Florida Panthers offensively. So this game is going under. This is tonight's best bet for me.
All right, Panthers Blues under the total for Dana. His best bet tonight. Alex, your best bet.
Oh, just touched on it. Minnesota Wild tonight, like I said, minus 130 against Calgary. They've won 8 of the last 12 meetings against the Flames as well. I didn't point that out as well. But like I said, hot team at home, catching a Calgary team, even though they're on a 3-game win streak, but they don't play nearly as well on the road. So Minnesota is my best bet tonight.
All right, Minnesota best bet for Alex B. Smith. I'm shaking it up tonight. I'm going team totals market for best bet tonight. First game on the card. This Winnipeg team against any sort of bat team, not playing defense, not getting consistent goaltending, capable of lighting them up. I think we get goals from Winnipeg tonight, and you can get the over their team total at a good price. It's 3.5. It's up there, 3.5 on their team total, but you can get plus 136 on that at Pinnacle. That's a great price. I think they can get 4 goals. Absolutely, they can with what Buffalo's been giving up lately. Let's go over 3.5 plus 136. Winnipeg Jets team total. Over 3.5 plus 136. That's my best bet for this Tuesday night card. And that's going to wrap up our show for this Tuesday, January 9th edition. Thanks again for everyone in the chat that tunes in and wakes up early with us to break down the card 3 days a week. We will be back on Thursday breaking down another NHL card right here on the SBR NHL Ice. Guys, make sure you're checking out sportsbookreview.com every day for the latest live odds, free picks, free articles, game breakdowns, sportsbook rating guide. Check out the social media links below this video. And please, if you like the show and enjoy this content, give our show a thumbs up and any show that you enjoy on the SBR platform. We'll be back on Thursday morning with the next edition. For Andrew, Dana, and Alex, I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. Enjoy the Tuesday night card. We'll see you again on Thursday.